in ultimate reality, you wouldn't have a preconceived notion if you were awake.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because the moment, remember the universe is agreeing with us, right? Mm-hmm. Here we are in the now moment. Now, if I'm going to be looking at it through spiritual eyes in my now moment, spirit, first of all, is going to be looking at it through non-judgment. Right? Spirit's view, God's view. How would God view the world? Perfect. It's perfect. How would man view the world? Man's going to see it. This needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed.
This is ugly. This is right.
This person's this. That person's that. You know, all of everything now has a value from man's view, because it's from a positional thinking. Spirit's view, it's perfect, because now Spirit's looking at eternity.
Everything just being.
If you're going to look at it from eternity's vantage point, now, take it to what to believe, okay? Let's talk about linear time. Let's talk about quantum physics. Here's one linear line, right? We have a beginning, we have a middle, we have an end on a linear track. Also, this could go off onto another linear track and go off this way. This one could go this way. That one could go that way. In every given moment, we have infinite potentialities. Okay? This is where now quantum physics is starting to get into quantum universes where all of time and space exist now. Einstein was saying the past, the present, the future is a persistent delusion of consciousness. So, how do you get away from deluding yourself? You get away from deluding your consciousness by releasing your attachment to what? To the form. Because if I have an attachment to the form in the world in which I see, then that's the limit as to that which I can experience. My consciousness can't go beyond that, because that's what I'm focused on. Change the focus, I'm free. See how you get free when you release your attachment to it, or you are very confined when you have an attachment to it. You're very limited. You can't have these two experiences consciously. Okay? Of course you're going to have these experiences, because when we start getting into quantum physics, that's why Jesus was also saying, no one goes up to heaven, but he who's come down from heaven, including me, and I'm in heaven. Talking about the multidimensional aspect. We're all, every single one of us, is a multidimensional being. Can we recognize, and are we consciously awake enough and cognizant enough to see other parts of self? For the most part, no. Because we're focused in on one particular point in time, on this one linear track. We're lost in eternity. It's true. Absolute truth. Now, Christ really came here to open our eyes, open our minds.
Yeah, I guess my question is based on it wasn't my choice to be here. This is a personal belief I'm stating right now. It wasn't my choice to be here, as far as I know, and it isn't my choice on when I get to go. But in the meantime, I can somehow address the deeper spiritual dimensions to the best of my ability while I'm here. But in order to do that, for me personally, I can only most directly experience that in a meditative state. Now, I don't have a problem with driving down the road and going, well, that car's behaving that way because that's just what's going on in front of me.
Right.
And not getting all flustered by it. That's not a problem. But beyond that, there's no spiritual connection dealing with the distracted driver in front of me who's wandering all over the road.
Right.
So
Yeah, I got you.
I basically what it boils down to in my context is I can either slowly wither away into my eternal self through meditation, or I can maintain this corporeal form that I have either been given or chose or adopted or whatever in the paradigm that this corporeal form was created.
Right. Well, I'm a firm believer.
I can't do both.
You can't do both. Well, let me say this. I believe that you can withdraw your attention. You know, it's almost like first time you rode a bike. Well, first time we all rode a bike. We get on the bike, boom, we fall
Bust our
down.
ass.
Right? We get up again, we fall down again. Get up again, we fall down again. Well, after a while, you get on that bike, you don't think about it anymore.
And you're not
It's
following.
almost natural. Almost natural. It's not natural because it was a learned experience. But you don't have to think about it. You know, we have perfected that ability to function and handle that. We are all in this world developing our ability to function as spiritually awakened beings.
See, I used to have issues where you have none. But I never felt like I was disconnected from another unit of consciousness. But I did have issues coping and dealing with. I got emotionally involved in it. Had to learn baby steps, thanks to Bruce, how to deal with it and be in the now moment. So I was listening to your story and I'm like, damn, you just didn't have that problem. You just didn't have that problem. It was a major issue for me. Must be the differences on the frequencies in which we exist.
I don't know. I guess I was just lucky in a lot of respects with the people that were around me
Your teachers.
throughout so many years. And like you, I've done a lot of reading.
Well-
So I've gotten a whole wealth of ideas. Now turning them into reality in a day-to-day sense, that's where
Your
it's
struggle?
really hard. And I haven't really gotten good at it other than trying
Well,
to
right
maintain
there.
that.
Not knowing your abilities are perfect for this moment and judging it, I'm not good at it or I'm getting good at it. Not going there with any thought, basically what he is saying.
Good point.
Not going there with any thought.
Trying to compare myself to the Dalai Lama puts me on
Well,
the timeline.
no, that's not what I mean. It's trying to compare yourself with your idea of what is better than what you know.
Right.
That's kind of like an oxymoron.
Right.
You do know it.
Putting an attachment on it.
Yeah, putting
Exactly.
What's the value?
a value
Yeah.
on
There's
it.
the value again. You
And
know,
you don't even think about it consciously. That's what I was talking about between spirit and ego. Because having those little thoughts, I had to dissect my day. Oh man, that was a judgment. I'm real sorry about that judgment. Oh, dude. Oh man, I just judged that. Dude. And it was a freaking trip. Because I had placed value on everything, not just the napkin and the spoon and that and the table. Every step or breath I took, I was having that. I was like, that gummit, once I stop doing that, I still do that, by the way, but very yes. Does that help explain what?
Oh yeah, it does. And your statement about me saying I'm not very good at it is, I think is probably the most salient part of it. I'm making a
Definitely
value
an
judgment,
issue.
and that takes me out of the,
Look, right
or
away.
puts me back in the ego mode and out of the spirit
But
mode.
that's all you know. You gotta take out in order for there to be room to put in. Trust me, man, I'm just learning this. And I've been talking to Bruce for years. But it's, I know about the struggle. Trust that. Get vertigo.
If it helps at all, know that every single human on the face of the planet is going to go through something very similar. I mean, we all have our own struggles, and the human mind functions in a way that has to put a value on everything. This is why you said to me, and I heard you say, in a meditative state is the only time when you really feel that you're truly there. And I can relate to that. There was a time when meditation was the only way. Through practice and repetition, what I found was I became the meditation. My life became the meditation. You look at the world as though you look at the world as though you're in the world but not of the world. Let your life be a meditation. You see the world, okay, it just is. Everything just is. Let it be what it is. It's not our job to fix the world. It's not our job to reach that person.
That
Our
which
job-
you resist.
That was one of
persists.
my biggest things was, initially I thought my job was to reach people with this. And then when I spoke and kind of went over their heads, I said, wait a minute, how am I going to do this? And I literally spent years trying to reach people. And then finally, wait a minute, that's not my job. My job is to be and to share. If there's 4 people, I've done my job. If there's 1 person, I've done my job. If there's 1 billion people, I've done my job.
Where there's a teacher, so will there be a student. Can't get around it.
You have a copy of the brochure that for the legal love?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. In there where I said to be or not to be, that's what I was referring to. I was talking about that state that you're referring to, being in the world but not of the world, and interacting rather than reacting. And to interact in this world without reacting, we have to reprogram ourselves on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis, because the natural, I won't say natural, but the most common.
It is repetitiously burned into your brain since you were big enough to crawl around on the floor, brainwashed.
Well, I think a lot of it is hardwired into the brain at the genetic level.
Yeah.
You know, the ancient prehistoric human wandering around on the Serengeti had to decide whether that moving grass was just the wind or is that a lion that's going to eat notes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it starts right off with value judgments.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
No.
And that comes from watching the surroundings that are there.
Now,
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
now did the prehistoric human being say, well, if I walk into that grass and the lion eats me, then I get to go to heaven? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. No.
Nuh-uh.
No, there probably wasn't a lot of thought about going to heaven.
No.
And you know, when we look at the now moment, you have to recognize that in the now moment, there is room for the dream. In the now moment. Course in Miracles talks about there's only love or fear, or awake or asleep. And when you're in the now moment and you're awake to the now moment, then you are interacting with things and you don't react to them. When you look at it through the sleeping state or the human perspective or the fearful mind, you're going to react to everything. The Course says there are two complete thought systems. And if you look at the dimensions of time and space, dimensions of time and space, as I said to you earlier, is really an illusion. All the dimensions. However, there are degrees or levels of awareness within the dream. Each of us comes into this realm, into this dimension. We came in at different frequencies. And this is why one person will struggle with something that somebody else, oh, I don't know why you have trouble with that. It's so easy for me, you know. And somebody else has trouble with something, you know. And everything is relative to that individual's frequency and how, A, they came into this dimension, B, the family and the surroundings that they were exposed to, you know. Suni and I were talking about this the other day, watching, well, there was a black guy that got stopped out here, for example, the other night. Police showed up. He was driving without a license. Okay, they're going to arrest him. Next thing you know, his father-in-law shows up with the daughter. Well, it's the daughter's car. You know, they would not let her drive her car, even though it was her car and they could prove it was her car. As they're arresting her husband for driving without a license, she had a license, her car, wouldn't let her take it. So the father came in to use the restroom, and he started telling me this, and I said, "Wow, that's amazing." He said, "Well, yeah, but," he said something to the effect that, "Well, yeah, you wouldn't understand because you're white."
Oh.
Truth of the matter is, they were really harder on this particular black family because he was black. And it was true. There's no reason for them. They had a tow truck. They brought the
because that adds to the money.
It adds, and they're gonna impound the car, and then they have to pay to get the car out.
And then they,
you know, and she's right here. It's her car. Now wait a minute. Why not just release the car to
They're going to
her?
press charges on her for knowing he's driving her car without a license. Oh,
Well,
yes.
maybe, I don't know. But the point being, you know, let's put that one aside.
Exactly.
I've seen situations where black, on occasion, were discriminated against.
Texas, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the point is that we all come into this realm. We all come into this realm for different experiences. And those experiences are directly related to our frequency and whatever it is that we need to work on. You said something to the effect, and this is what I was hearing, that you only have a certain amount of control over the details in this environment. And that's true of all of us. We don't control the environment. We can affect the environment. We can affect our experience. We don't control all the details.
You mean I can't save the world?
Well,
Save
maybe
the
so.
planet?
Maybe you can. No, but the idea is within the system, and this is where I'm in direct agreement with the Christian belief of the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I talk in my book about the fact that the Holy Spirit orchestrates the interplay of creation. Like you say, you're driving down the street, someone pulls out in front of you. Well, who orchestrated that? You? Did you think before you went to bed, I'm going to put this person in my way so that I have an opportunity to get pissed off and call him an asshole or to stay centered? No, you didn't lay out all these details. But there is a consciousness that can handle those details and does. Every single detail that flows. All of these, and I mean, there are infinite details that have to come together in order for creation to keep moving. Not one of us is doing this. Not even Jesus. You know, I had this discussion with the guy the other night when he came in and he was talking about Jesus and the Ten Commandments and so on and so on. And I said, well, you know, even Jesus recognized that the Father and and he were different. You know, Jesus said, of my own self, I can do nothing. He said, all power given me is given to me of the Father. It's his will, not mine. So Jesus and he said, yeah, after we had a short little conversation, he said, yeah, he said, Jesus recognized that the Father was the top dog. You know? And it's true. There is a greater consciousness than us, and it orchestrates this. And we as spiritual beings on our journey to awakening play the game, and we are all dealt different hands. But what's important is we recognize that we have eternity to play with. Right? It's not just one time. It's not one second, one lifetime. It's the whole. It's all of time, and then again, all of time and space is not a restriction. You can go beyond. You can go beyond this moment right here, right now. You can open your eyes. You can lose your attachment to this particular plane in this dimension, and come to a greater and greater level of awareness. Which it sounds like this is what you've been experiencing. You've been experiencing a progressive awakening, right?
Right.
Which is what many people do. They have a progressive awakening, and that will be sufficient to bring someone, if they are aware of it, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, until they get to a point where they can accept the full now. Now, this is where I just had this good discussion with my former publicist. Christ talked about our treasure. Christ said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The moment you see something and you feel this is what I have to have, of course, all your time and attention is going to be there. Right? How can it not? I want to build a new home. I have to now look at different plans. I got to figure out where I want to do this, and and I got to handle all these details. So wherever my treasure is, my heart's going to be there, and my time and attention is going to be focused on it. I've been doing my best over the last 10, 12 years now to wake up every day and surrender everything and say, okay, I'm here, use me. If that means that the picture of a spiritual center that I had one day, if that's the course it's going to take, then things will line up and that will happen. If it means I'm still at Daddy Dee's scooping ice cream, then here I am. If it means whatever, the point is, I can't know, no one could know, and still be empty enough to serve the highest will. Does that answer your question that you asked me about originally, about the picture of what I would be doing?
Yeah. At least the way I interpret what you're saying is that in our physical selves, the way they're manifest at this moment, can't be at that place, the universal realm, completely, I guess.
At all. This physical self can't be on
The
that
physical
realm.
can't.
But our
No,
spirit
no.
self can.
But the spirit,
But the spiritual self is always.
The spirit is already
It's a
there.
question of whether you recognize it or not.
the spirit is already there. The spirit is there, and you can start
Hearing
you
it.
can start connecting and becoming more cognizant of it. The more you become cognizant of spirit, the less you're attached to this. No? Because you start moving in this direction, you don't really have any real. Well, you're still going to have a purpose here, but you're not going to have this. It's not going to have the same meaning. You know, everything in this world then takes on a whole new light. When you're in the world but not of the world, well, who cares about the details? I look and I say, well, if they blow the world up tomorrow, blow it up. What's the difference? You know, I don't really have a problem if you blow up the world tomorrow. Blow it up. If aliens come down here and eat all of mankind, go eat them. You know, whatever. Just.
Unless it ain't me.
Well, that wasn't real spirit.
No, I got mail to deliver.
Yeah, you got, no, well, don't worry, there won't be anyone for you to deliver to. So.
We usually say there's no judgment there.
And my tax check's not here yet.
That's right. It's gonna come due.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't even get one because I didn't have anything to pay for the last few years, so I didn't even get that.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Actually, I'm getting it. It's just that they're taking out back taxes.
Bruce has made like 20 cents a day for the last 5 years.
I roll it. Living large.
Only by baby.
Spiritual Warren Buffett, right?
Well, spiritually, yeah. I mean, you know, I wouldn't trade what I've been gifted with for all of the money and all the power in the world. I mean, it's not to say that I have an aversion to money, and trust me, if someone starts bringing money in here for me to play with, I'm going to play, I'm going to build a spiritual community, do all kinds of things, that'd be great. But, you know what? No. I mean, this is infinite. This is my spirit. This is what the eternal part of it. I really don't have an attachment to this world. You know, this world can do what it wants.
Is you know Michael?
No. I don't
You'll
think so.
see more about what he means right there with what he just said when you meet his son. I could say that. That's not discernment. That's judgment. Because I'm a mom and I still got issues. Serious ones. But I'm working on it. I'm way closer to having that than when I started out. Because I was pissed off at the world when I came to baby's ice cream doors. I can't even meditate. Lose my breath and get all shaky. Yeah, it's like battle, WWF, ego, spirit. I'm not kidding. It's the biggest lesson I've ever attempted to learn. Ever.
But I think I see what you're saying also, that, you know, I may want to go save the Everglades, but whether I do or I don't, it ain't going to change anything.
No, and the idea is this.
There is no quality distinction.
The idea is this, Scott. You know, we're going to go over some of the stuff that we went over last week, because I think this is important. This is the same point that we were talking about last week.
Sorry, driving through this.
Page 54, we're talking about living in the moment. Because this is exactly what we're talking about here. In the Gospel of Thomas, in the Gospel according to Thomas, the followers of Jesus asked him about their fate. Tell us how our end will be. Jesus, seeking to open their eyes beyond the limited sight of man, answered with a question. Since you have discovered the beginning, why do you seek the end? For where the beginning is, there will the end be. Blessed is he who shall stand at the beginning, and he shall know the end, and shall not taste of death. Now tell me that's not talking about the same thing that Einstein was referring to when he was talking about going beyond linear time. Where the past, the present, and the future are now. That's what Jesus was talking about here in the Gospel of Thomas 2,000 years ago. Fortunate is one who stands at the beginning. Here's our spot at the beginning. He shall know the end and shall not taste of death. Now he's talking about spiritual view. What's the spiritual view? Eternal. One with God, right? The eternal view,
The Alpha is the Omega.
the Alpha is the Omega. Exactly. So the point being, whatever thought you could have, you see, in terms of linear time, this is why the Course in Miracles talks about the dimensions of time and space being an illusion, being part of a dream. Einstein said that the past, the present, and the future is nothing but a persistent delusion of consciousness, albeit a persistent one. That's what he said, and it's true. From the spiritual view, linear time, that which is going to come, already exists.
Yeah.
Okay? So now, you have a choice. We all have a choice. We can get caught up in the details of a linear track as being all this important. I gotta save the Everglades. I gotta save the Everglades. And then we go and we spend all of our time and energy and everything on saving the Everglades. When we die, oh God, I saved the Everglades. 1,000 years from now, they're gone. You know, but
Yeah,
the point,
because, you know,
but the point being, in that moment when I made the choice to save the Everglades, I could have had a V8.
Spiritually, the result would have been the same.
There you go.
yes.
You see, the point is, now, that doesn't mean that Spirit might not guide me to save the Everglades.
Right.
If Spirit guides me to save the Everglades, I'm going to save the
That's what I'm
Everglades.
gonna do.
But you see, where it originates is paramount. Is it originating here from a judgmental position? I gotta save the Everglades. The whole damn world's a
The
mess.
Everglades aren't perfect
You know?
as they are.
It's gotta be. I gotta do it. Now, if it's coming from here, I got a problem. And I'm not going to be experiencing the fullness. I'm going to be experiencing my mind, and I'm stuck in a linear track. If I am in this world but not of the world, and Spirit taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, go talk to so-and-so because, you know, maybe you could help save the Everglades. Oh, okay, you know. So if you're guided by Spirit to do something, and this requires some practice to develop the ability to discern the origin. Is it coming from a judgmental mind, or is it coming from Spirit?
Before
That's where
we
practice comes into
tell
play.
it's coming from Spirit, we have to calm enough.
That's where
Listen to
practice.
Spirit.
And so we know one thing. If it's coming from my human ego mind, the human ego mind operates
In fear. Awareness.
solely from judgment, placing a value. Remember the Garden of Eden?
Mm-hmm.
I got two choices here. I can be eating of the tree of life, and I'm alive, or I can eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil,
And be dead.
and be dead. A or B? That's true for all of eternity, not just this particular moment in time and space, but for all of eternity. I can choose to look at the world through a filter which values everything as positive and negative, puts a value on it, or I can simply allow everything to be and let Spirit guide me. I can be in the world but not of the world, or I'm going to be a Mother Teresa and fix it.
She was just a pencil. Her body was just a vessel.
Not to say, if tomorrow everybody woke up and said, hey, let's all do good.
The best thing
You know
in the
what?
world to be a good human.
I wouldn't mind the whole world being good. You know, that would be better than everyone waking up saying, hey, let's all be bad.
But your version of good, someone else's version of
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly
Yeah.
what my 18-year-old said. I told him I wish it would just be good. It was like, in whose definition of good would you like for me to be?
Yikes.
Your definition of good or my definition of good? I'm like, oh yeah, don't get it.
Yeah, wasn't it Mae West When I'm bad, I'm bad. And when I'm good, I'm good. And when I'm bad, I'm really
bad.
good.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I said, what the hell do you mean, no, you person is good?
Just ask.
See, I love these spiritual classes. Get to talk
Exactly,
about
see?
Mae West. And
Being good and being bad and not really wanting to tell the difference.
Yeah, hey.
Just being.
Just ask W.C. Fields.
Yeah, really.
I'll have a look.
God says just be open, I'll handle the details. Sounds simple enough.
Works for me.
Yeah, but
think
being
that,
a
right?
human, go just try it. Woo-hoo. Whoa.
So yeah, our problem is life and death, beginning and end, will always remain confusing labels to the human mind. Until one has moved beyond the limitation of perception, these terms will remain ambiguous and relative to every individual. Anyone focused on perceptual evidence for his basis of reality will always experience something related to a past memory. Is the human mind. As is stated in the introduction, the human mind is extremely limited in its ability to understand anything that it cannot be applied to, applied to linear movement. Whenever the human mind tries to conceive of something non-linear, it is at a loss. We're all facing that same dilemma.
Yeah.
Every one of us. Being focused in this moment, being in this moment, being in the world but not of the world. From a human perspective, what's it look like? What's it taste like? You know, how do I do that? Doesn't make sense.
I plant this seed, what kind of plant is it going to grow into?
Yeah.
When's the fruit get here? All those other...
Yeah. All those things derived out of our conditioned thinking mind. But if we're in the now moment, and here we are, the now is beyond linear. The past, the present, and the future, right here. So if I'm questioning, Rumi, it was a poem. Rumi was talking about God and hearing God. And God said to Rumi, in between the question and the answer, I am there. So we've got a question. Is that spirit or ego questioning?
Say, ego.
Yeah, ego's questioning. Now, ego's questioning, and ego here's an answer. Is the answer ego or spirit?
I'm going to say ego again.
I'm going to say ego too. Yeah. Where's God? In between. In that state where we're not using this meditative state.
And like the old one-hand clapping question.
Yeah,
There is no answer.
exactly. Exactly right. So when if you're allowing God to orchestrate the details and handle everything, you're not questioning and you're not seeing the answer. Every question that arises is coming from ego. So if you look and you say, I wonder if I'm being.
there you go, you got your answer already, man.
You don't have to ask the question. You've already got your answer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't have to ask because it's a given. A personal example, this was something I heard Spirit saying to me for years. For some time I heard Spirit, God, telling me to stop thinking and just be. At first the whole idea confused me each time that I heard it. But like everything else, if you're exposed to something often enough, it inevitably becomes clearer. After years of meditation and prayer, I came to realize that I was being asked to experience the now moment, which transcends the world of normal thought. That's all I'm trying to share here. And what that is that that's our spirit. It's all of us. We have this within us. Every one of us got it within us. We've been lost within eternity.
That's a good one.
You know, it's true. We're just all lost. Einstein expressed his understanding of the state existing beyond time and space when he spoke of death of a friend. And Einstein said, "Now he has departed from this strange world a little ahead of me. That means nothing. People like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." That's from a physicist.
It's even more bizarre than that in quantum mechanics. Past, present, and future can exist at one time in different places.
Well, yeah,
So,
of course they would.
but even that's an illusion,
It's all an illusion, but here's the thing.
because it's all the same particle.
It's all the same particle, but here's the thing. In terms of the illusion, it can be experienced for all of eternity. It's a choice that we must make within ourselves to readjust how we interact or react, which is going to bring about a change in experience. That law of attraction that's being thrown around. The moment you state your intention, you are going to manifest experiences that are going to bring you that which you've asked for. The clearer you get, the clearer is coming to you. And what's happening is we're all being worked on. Every one of us is being worked on. We're being perfected, so to speak. Even though we're already perfected, we're being perfected into the realization that we are perfected. You don't have to create a perfection within you. You need only accept that which already is. And sometimes we need experiences to get us to a point where we are prepared to do that. This is why Christ said, when they asked, what was necessary, and he said, look, go sell all that you have. He said, it's easier for the camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom. He didn't say the rich man can't enter. He said, it's easier for the camel to go through the eye of the needle than for the rich man to enter the kingdom. Because if you're holding on to, in this now moment, a perception and a value that money holds for you,
Can't be in the now moment.
you can't be in that now moment. You can't have the experience.
You can have it without having to judge it as a necessary thing for your spiritual
There you go.
being.
Exactly. This is why the Bible also says this. In and of itself, all things are pure. All. That only impure when you eat of them with an impure mind. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
See, once you start seeing the real truth, hey, Scripture makes sense now.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wow! It really holds some truths. But they don't explain it this way for some reason.
Yeah.
Makes more sense here than it does sitting in church, I think of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this world doesn't have too many enlightened beings out there teaching. It really doesn't. We've had, you know, Jesus talked about the blind leading the blind. We've had the blind leading the blind for a long time. And if the blind follow the blind, they all fall into the same ditch. And so it keeps going and going and going and going. And after 2,000 years, of course it's not going to change. How can it change? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. You're going to keep this alive. This is one of the reasons why in this video I'm going to do, I was thinking about this in the video I'm going to do, I'm going to address the Pope specifically and tell the Pope it's time to revamp the church and the doctrine that they teach. Let's get back to the real truth that Christ taught. I got to put this on YouTube and be interested.
I don't think Benedict's going to pay a whole lot of attention to it. He's
Well,
pretty dogmatic old people.
You know, you're probably right.
That's a joke.
But that's all right. I mean, I look at it this way. I'm going to throw this out for the world, and I'm going to specifically address this with the church, and let other people talk to the Pope. You know? And I'm going to invite everyone else to participate in the legal love and to help others understand that if you continue on the path you're on, that's not going to take you to where you think you're going to go. I'm not just speaking out of my hat. I'm speaking, this is the mechanics of creation. Gravity works like this. It's not going to go up. It's going to go down. Every time you have a thought in the now moment, that thought is creative. I'm not making this stuff up. It just is. Laws of physics. The law of attraction. You have a judgmental mind. You got an ego judgmental mind. You're not going to experience spiritual enlightenment. How can you? It's impossible. Because no one can experience somebody else's reality. I can't experience what you're feeling or you're feeling truly. I mean, yeah, I can say, yeah, I had something similar. So no one can experience that other person's reality. But you can experience your own. And so, if you're going to experience your own reality, then now let's look at Gandhi. What did Gandhi say? Be the change you would wish to see. Because in this now moment, you are either awake or asleep. There is nothing in between. Oh, I'm almost awake. Well, yeah. Okay, you're almost awake. Are you awake? No. She's almost pregnant. No, no. She's pregnant or she's not pregnant. You're awake or you're asleep.
Wet or dry.
Yeah, wet or dry. If you're asleep, so you might be somewhere within the spectrum. You might be within the thought system of the ego world. You might be better or more or less than someone else. But you're still asleep. If you're awake,
There is only one awake.
there's only one way. And how did Jesus describe the awakened state? When they asked Jesus, remember the one who said, hey, Master, I've been good. I followed the commandments my whole life. He said, what else is there? What did Jesus say? Be perfect. Your Father's perfect. He'll be perfect. Wait a minute. Human can't be perfect. But when you detach yourself from the outward world, guess what you are? You're already perfect. In the awakened state, you're perfect. From the awakened state, look at the world. Let's just for a second, we'll do a little exercise. We'll imagine ourselves awakened as spiritual beings, one with our Creator. Now, look at your world in your mind. Who is guilty of anything? How about it? Who's guilty?
Nobody.
Nobody. Everybody's innocent. Wow. So now, you want to see how to function on a day-to-day? See everyone just like you just saw. When Christ is being nailed to the cross, forgive them, Father. They don't know what the hell they're doing. If they knew, they wouldn't be doing. If they're doing, they don't know. If they don't know, they're innocent. See how it works?
Yeah.
That does not negate the laws of karma within this realm. There will be consequences for actions. But when you move yourself to the state where you just were, and you look at the world, and you're in the world but not of it, which is what you just did when you saw the perfection, when you saw the innocence, in that moment, you're in the world but not of the world. Who in this world cannot do that if they choose to do that? It's available for everybody. This is why they talk about salvation or God's grace. What is God's grace in action? God's grace in action is you wake up to the realization that you're already perfect and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to earn anything. All you have to do is just let go of your judgments. See yourself as innocent as you just saw everyone else. Live that, you're there. That's the way home. Maybe that should be the subtitle. This is the way home. Lost within creation, this is the way home. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, this way home?
Or out of the desert, or
Maybe it's not
the
the
path home.
Yeah. Yeah, but can you believe we've been here for 35 years?
Being home, getting home.
A long, long time for a business. Had four
Well,
owners.
maybe I won't put it.
Perfect home. You keep getting sold in the garden section.
Yeah.
Hey, how about home is where the spirit
They
lives?
sold it to a lady for me. And then she sold it to the guy in the back who was also talking, his girlfriend. She bought it 4 years ago.
Design on a spiritual dime.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. But
Way more fun since the commercial came out.
we'll make a note where we left off here. We didn't go too far from where we were last week. Huh?
No, we were on the first paragraph in 55.
Oh, yeah?
We ended right after Einstein's,
Oh, yeah. Persistent delusion of... Or persistent illusion. I've read it both ways. He said the past, present, and future is nothing but a persistent delusion of consciousness. And Barry's calling it a persistent illusion. In terms of eternity, now always is. And if now always is, then we don't have to wait to wake up. We don't have to wait for perfection. Matter of fact, if you wait for perfection, you will never find it. Maybe that should be the title of subtitle. Lost within creation. If you wait for perfection, you'll never find it. No, they wouldn't get that.
well, only if you go into quite a bit of detail. And
No, I'm thinking about a new title for the book. The new title I was thinking of is Lost Within Creation. Oh, no, Lost Within Eternity, I'm sorry. Which is where people are.
Yeah.
Maybe I ought to just forget the subtitle.
But what was that subtitle? If you wait for perfection, you'll.
Yeah, you'll never. If you're searching for perfection, you'll never find it, or something to that effect. But the subtitle I had on here that I was thinking of using was Soul's Experience of Life and Death. See, that pretty much describes this book. Describes everything we're talking about. Lost within eternity, soul's experience of life and death. This is life and death. This is life and death. And that's all there is. At one point, I was kicking around all kinds of titles. And way back, I was thinking of calling this The Death Experience. Then I thought, people wouldn't quite.
No, looking for more reaffirming.
Yeah, that's definitely negative.
You know.
They want plenty of ways to figure that out. They're looking for life, not death.
Yeah, well, in order for them to find life, they have to recognize that they got to let go of death. This is death. That's death. Life is eternal. Life is, hey, that's a good title too. Life is eternal. Life does never die. Life cannot die.
This pile of atoms can rearrange itself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're talking about form, but spirit cannot die.
Would be better to put spirit cannot die, and then just kind of explain that. You know what I mean? Because some, depending on people's educations and where they're at, they go, what the hell does he mean? Never die. But if you say spirit, that may help them.
Well, what I
get there
also
quicker.
here's what I also had in mind on the back cover. On the back cover of this one, I have what other people have thought about the book, but what I was thinking about putting on the back cover, I don't know the exact verbiage yet, but I was thinking something to the effect of 2,000 years ago, when Jesus was asked about the end, I'm going to use that quote. He asked them, have you discovered the beginning? Fortunate is one who stands at the beginning, yet shall know the end and shall not taste of death. And then I was going to follow it up with, I have come into this world to explain many of the misunderstandings of Christ and to help you find your way back home.
The end of the beginning.
The end of the beginning. Yeah. The end of death.
Life awake.
So then after I do that, I will be the prophet of the madman. This guy, who the hell are you?
Especially as they see the YouTube thing. Just don't put your address.
My address is everywhere. It's all over the internet. My home address, this place.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Someday someone's going to show up here. Oh yeah.
With nothing better to do.
I just this weekend there was a couple here from. Let's see, where were they from? They were from Denmark. No. Sweden. They were from Sweden. Sweden. And I asked them to take some brochures home. Oh yeah, no problem. I had some people from France, they took some home.
Oh.
I had some people from England, they took them home. Some people from Germany, they took them home. I said, look, when you get home, in the airport, just scatter them around where people can pick them up. So, in Heathrow, people are going to be picking these things up, and over here they're going to pick them up, and over there, so yeah, I had someone bring them to France, some of them bring them to Germany, some of them bring them to England, some of them bring them to Sweden. I think if I had someone from Greece too. So those brochures are starting to get out there a little bit. That's creative marketing. I don't have any money to
Right.
do anything. Just pass these out, bring them to the airport.
Let the customers do it.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine somebody in Sweden. They go to the airport and they pick up this brochure, but the guy in America who wrote this book, oh wow, you know.
Prophet or madman, let's see how mad he is.
Hey, I've been reading this book. It's about the Indian history of the American West, written by an Indian who supposedly has a lot of
Spiritual insight.
facts. No, a lot of facts and everything. But I came across the spiritual part that I was gonna read right here. It's only a paragraph or so, but they're talking about Crazy Horse. This is back in like 1870. But for a long time, Crazy Horse had been waiting for a chance to test himself in battle with the Bluecoats, which were the U.S. cavalry. In all the years since the Fetterman fight, well, they talked about that earlier, at Fort Phil Kearny, he had studied the soldiers and their ways of fighting. Each time he went into the Black Hills to seek visions, he had asked, it's Wakantanka, which is God, to give him secret powers so that he would know how to lead the Oglaglas, and that was his, I think he was Apache or whatever, but that was their given name, I guess, their tribal name, to victory if the white men ever came again to make war upon his people. Since the time of his youth, Crazy Horse had known that the world men lived in was only a shadow of the real world. To get into the real world, he had to dream, and when he was in the real world, everything seemed to float and dance. In this real world, his horse danced as if it were wild or crazy, and this is why he called himself Crazy Horse. He had learned that if he dreamed himself into the real world before going into a fight, he could endure anything. And then it goes on to say, on this day, June 17th, 1876, Crazy Horse dreamed himself into the real world, and he showed the Sioux how to make many things they had never done before while fighting the white man's soldiers.